I'm Natalia, and if you asked me to describe the most surreal moment of my teenage years, I would tell you without hesitation, it was my first kiss. The kiss that felt like something out of a fairy tale, the kiss that made my heart race and my mind go blank. The kiss that changed everything. But before that moment, it all started like the simplest of crushes. I was 15, still in high school, and living in that strange middle space between childhood and adulthood. The kind of space where everything feels possible but also out of reach, where feelings come and go with the wind, and everything seems like an over-exaggerated drama of emotions. That's when I met Liam. Liam was the kind of guy that everyone noticed, but not because he was loud or brash. He was quiet, a little mysterious, but in that way that drew people in. His brown hair always fell a little too perfectly over his forehead, and his eyes were the color of deep green forests. I wasn't the only one who noticed him, the other girls did too. He had this ability to make you feel like he was paying attention to you, like your words meant something. But even though I was just another girl in the crowd, there was this pull between us, something subtle, something unspoken. We had chemistry, or at least I thought we did. We shared a class, English, and I always found myself sitting a little too close to him. We'd work on group projects together, exchanging glances and shy smiles. I could feel the flutter of my heart every time our hands brushed accidentally while passing notes or books. At first, I told myself it was just a crush, nothing more. Liam was way out of my league. He was charming, confident, and far too cool for someone like me, a quiet girl who preferred books over parties. But no matter how much I tried to convince myself it was just a phase, the feeling didn't go away. If anything, it grew stronger. It happened one afternoon after school. I was waiting for my bus, my eyes fixed on the ground, trying not to think about Liam and the effect he had on me. It was one of those gloomy days where the sky was gray and the air was thick with the promise of rain. Suddenly, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned, and there he was, Liam, standing with that shy but confident smile he always wore. I didn't know what to say at first, but he made it easy. "Hey, Natalia," he said, his voice light but serious, like he was trying to ask something without actually asking it. I was wondering, would you want to go to the park this weekend? You know, just hang out. No big deal. I could feel the blood rush to my cheeks. He was asking me out. Or at least, that's what it felt like to me. Sure, I said, trying to sound casual, though my heart was pounding. I'd like that. Saturday came faster than I expected, and with it, the nervous excitement that kept me up the night before. I picked out a simple outfit, something I hoped would make me look good without trying too hard, jeans and a sweater. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I tried not to think about how much I was overthinking it. We met at the park, a little spot near my house where I love to walk on weekends. The trees there were tall, and the air smelled of fresh grass and earth, a sharp contrast to the city streets that always felt so loud. When I saw Liam walking toward me, I felt a rush of heat flood my cheeks, but I did my best to keep calm. "Hey," he greeted me with that same easy smile. He looked even better in person, with his hair slightly tousled and a light jacket draped over his shoulders. "You look nice." "Thanks," I said softly, unsure what else to say. My heart was beating so loud, I wondered if he could hear it too. We walked for a while, just talking about random things: school, music, movies, our lives. It was one of those rare moments where time seemed to slow down, where everything felt easy, and I felt at peace with just being in the moment. Eventually, we reached a bench by the water. He sat down first and patted the spot next to him, inviting me to sit. I hesitated for a second, then sat beside him, trying to ignore how close we were. My palms were sweating, and I could feel the butterflies in my stomach doing somersaults. We didn't talk much after that. The silence was comfortable, but it was the kind of silence that made everything feel like it was about to change. I could feel the electricity between us, and every time I looked at him, my breath seemed to catch in my throat. And then, suddenly, he turned to face me. "Natalia," Liam said, his voice soft but steady. I looked at him, meeting his gaze. He was close, closer than we had ever been. I could smell the faint scent of his cologne, and I could see the way his chest rose and fell with every breath he took. And then, just like that, he leaned in. Time stopped. I couldn't think, couldn't breathe, couldn't move. All I could do was stare at him, my heart racing in my chest. His lips were inches from mine, and for a moment, everything seemed surreal. I could feel the warmth of his breath, the intensity of his gaze, and the overwhelming urge to kiss him back. I didn't have to think twice. Before I knew it, my lips were on his. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, almost as if neither of us knew exactly what to do. But then, as if instinct took over, the kiss deepened. His hands found their way to my waist, pulling me closer, and I responded by letting myself get lost in the moment. For those few seconds, I forgot about everything, the doubts, the fears, the insecurities. It was just him and me, and for the first time, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The world around us faded away, and all that mattered was the connection between us. I felt the rush of emotions I hadn't even known were possible, and I realized, as we pulled away, that I had never felt so alive. Liam's eyes were still closed when he pulled back, but when he opened them, he was smiling. "That was amazing," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled back. My lips tingled from the kiss, and my heart was still racing, but now there was a sense of calmness that settled over me. I didn't expect that," I murmured, almost to myself. Liam laughed softly, his hand brushing through his hair. "I didn't either. But it felt right. It felt right." Those 3 words echoed in my mind, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like everything made sense. We didn't speak much after that kiss, but neither of us needed to. We walked back in silence, but it was a peaceful silence. It felt like everything between us had changed, and yet nothing had to be said. When we reached the spot where we had met earlier, I turned to Liam. "Thanks for today. I had a great time." "Me too," he said, his voice quiet but sincere. "I'm glad we did this. I wasn't sure what would happen next. Was this the beginning of something more, or was it just a moment? But somehow, I didn't feel the need to ask. I didn't need to know right away. For the first time, I felt like I had everything I needed in that moment: his kiss, his smile, and the knowledge that maybe, just maybe, we were both falling for each other. As I walked away from him, my heart was still racing, but now there was something else, a sense of hope. It wasn't just about the kiss. It was about everything that could come next, and how the world suddenly felt a little more open, a little more possible. For a long time after that day, I would think back to that kiss, to that moment when the world seemed to pause, and I couldn't help but smile. Because it wasn't just my first kiss. It was my first taste of real love, a love that, for once, felt like it could be exactly what I wanted. And with every step I took, I realized something important, that sometimes the best moments in life come when you least expect them.